Welcome to Not Starving Artist, the podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Benson, money coach and equity actor. I am your financial cheerleader, here to help you build your financial confidence and have power over your money. The best part, no budgeting or bi-weekly paychecks required. I went from being a broke BFA grad having weekly panic attacks about money to a financially confident, wealth-building actor and business owner. Money gets to feel fun, simple, and sexy, and I am going to show you how. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about the solo vacation that I just took to Florida. I'm going to talk about why I took it. I'm going to talk about how I paid for it with travel rewards and credit card points. I'm going to talk about spending goals, as well as the impulsivity of booking this trip for me, phone detoxes, money thoughts from strangers, giving yourself what you need as a business owner, upgrading your lifestyle versus celebrations. We got like so much to dive into as we talk about this solo vacation. So the first thing I want to talk about is why I decided to take this trip in the first place. And I want to give a big shout out to one of my favorite humans on this planet, Harriet Hadfield. She is a creative business owner. She teaches creatives how to live and do the business side of being a creative freelancer. And so, of course, her and I connected very deeply on Destroying the Starving Artist trope. She has an incredible group program called Freelance with Freedom, which I guest coach in all the time. So my friend Harriet was talking to me about, she came to New York and she took a trip here, and we were talking, and she was talking about how it was like such a gift to herself to be able to give herself this trip to New York. She was able to like dress in like the clothes that she loves to wear. She lives out in LA. And so like, it's not very much like a blazer shoulder pad kind of city. So she was like, I want to like dress in the fashion of New York, and I want to like be in the city, and like how healing and rejuvenating it was for her soul to be like, you can go to New York anytime. Like, what a celebration, but also just like how fun that you just get to do this for yourself. Anyway, so we were sitting at a cafe having drinks, and we were talking about some business milestones that I had hit recently. And she was like, so Brooke, have you celebrated that yet? And I was like, no, I have not. And so I want to give a big shout out to her. She was a big reason why I booked this trip for myself. Because even someone like me, a money coach who teaches her clients all the time to celebrate their wins and celebrate their milestones, sometimes I forget, right? Like things just got really crazy and busy, and I was having a great time and like distracted by lots of things. And then like celebrating these big moves that I was making, went unnoticed or like unchecked in my brain. So we were talking about what that like celebration could look like. And I had this gut instinct where I was like, I need to go to the beach. I don't know why that came up, but like, I feel like I need to take a beach vacation. I think that's what it needs to be. And as I started to like sit with that, I realized that I hadn't been to the beach in a year and a half since I moved out of Florida a year and a half ago. And I am such a Margaritaville girl. I'm such a Florida girl. I'm such a beach girl. And coming to the city is fantastic. I'm obsessed with it here. It's so much fun living here. And also, little Brooke's dream was always to like go and act on the beach. And she did that, right? And that was so fun, but then I moved her away, and I have new dreams now, right? But there's still a piece of me that like loves being by the water and loves the ocean and things like that. And so part of me booking this trip was to be like, hey, Brooke, we can go back to the beach anytime we want. And you are now at a place in your life where you can book impulsive trips to the beach or just integrate them into your lifestyle, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can integrate them into your lifestyle. And so it doesn't have to be the beach or New York. It gets to be both, because there are reasons for both, and you love different parts of both. Do you want to live and have your home in Florida? Nope, not right now. But do you want to live and have your home in New York City? Yes. But do you also love the beach and love the water and feel like so creative and healthy and fantastic when you're like taking morning walks on the beach? Yes. Right. So that also gets to be equally true. So anyway, that's the reason why I booked this trip, for celebration purposes, but then also realizing that I hadn't given myself a beach vacation in a while. So how I actually went about booking this trip. So this was a bit impulsive, and I want to be very clear. Impulsivity isn't necessarily a bad thing. Impulsivity can be really great when it's gut led, but a lot of times impulsive spending and impulsive use of our money is coming from avoidance, coming from, fuck it, I just don't want to think about this decision, or I'm trying to numb out a feeling, or like, I've been depriving myself. I just fuck it, I'm going to buy it, the things. Do you see how that's a version of impulsivity? But there are also different versions of impulsivity where it's this like gut knowing of like, I think I just got to book it, or like, oh my God, I think I'm going to get it. Like, and there's a different like kind of calm of like, do it, right? You have that voice in your head that's just so calm and steady. At least that's how my gut talks to me. And we're going to talk about gut instincts and gut intuition in a little bit, because I think that's really important when you are developing your financial CEO muscles, your own decision-making muscles about your own money. So because it was about, I mean, I think I booked this trip maybe 3 weeks out. Like I was looking at my calendar when I could do it. It was about 3 weeks away. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do it. I like sat with my feelings and I was like, I want to make sure this trip feels like truly gut led. And I'm not just like, fuck it, I need to get out of New York and I'm feeling sad and I'm just going to celebrate it and like black out while I make the travel plans. I was like, no, I want to be intentional and make sure this is coming from just like a really lovely place of like wanting to spoil myself and have a little beach vacay. So when I actually went to book the trip, because it was more last minute, when I talk about spending goals with you all, spending goals it's not a budget, right? We're not like line item budgeting of like, here's exactly what you're allowed to spend. And if you spend anything over that, shame on you. Spending goals is just a proactive decision on what you want to spend for the month so that you like how your numbers fall in your checking account, in your savings account, in your investment accounts, on how your money is being utilized. You are proactively making decisions about them so that you know you're going to like what you see at the end of the month. Does that mean that you can't change the decision halfway through the month? No. When you're a financial CEO, you get to do whatever you want as long as you're doing it from your own power. So because this wasn't like initially in my brain of something that I was going to be like paying for and doing in the month of May, it wasn't inside of my spending goals. Did that mean that I wasn't going to be allowed, hard quotes, allowed to book this trip for myself if my gut was telling me it was like a really great decision? No, hell no. Hell to the no. I was going to book it and take this trip. So why I bring spending goals up is because having a spending goal for my month, and like the spending goal was just, I want to spend X amount. And that means that like the surplus I'm expecting, right, from the income that I'm making, I want to put that towards this specific savings bucket. And then I want to invest this much, and like this much I'm putting towards this. It's just like the macro numbers of what I'm estimating and deciding. So I bring this up because when you set spending goals, your brain thinks about financial decisions differently. So was I going to tell myself no to going on this trip? No. Was I going to try and do it a budget way? No. But with my spending goal in mind, when I went through the logistics of booking the trip and what I wanted the trip to look like, it had me looking differently. So let me explain what I mean by this. So first thing is the Margaritaville resort is in Hollywood Beach, and that's where I wanted to stay. They have like incredible pools, like you can have beach chairs out. They just have all the amenities. It's just such a fantastic luxury resort. I've been there multiple times. It is my all-time favorite resort in the entire world. So I knew I was going to stay there. Now, that being said, this is a luxury resort, right? And I was planning on going for 3 nights and 4 days. And so I was like, okay, that's going to be probably like close to $1,700 total, like with my flight, for this trip. And I was like, I can get behind that number. Like, I'm not going to tell myself no if that's what I decide to do. But I was like, okay, but based on my spending goals and what I've like decided for this month, what are the other options that still allow me to enjoy Margaritaville, but are there other things I can play with? So of course, I started thinking about my credit card points that I have, my travel rewards that I have available to me. And for credit card points and travel rewards, I always like to use them on personal trips and vacation rather than business trips and vacation. And that's because I can deduct the amount that I'm paying for business trips and like travel I'm doing for business, but I can't deduct it if I'm doing for personal things. So I'd rather use my like free points and travel for my personal stuff and then be able to deduct the stuff I'm paying cash for in my business to lower my taxes. So that's how I think about credit card points and travel rewards. So I was looking at all of the things I have available to me, and I had a $100 Delta flight credit that was going to expire in, I think, August or September. And that came from if you spend on the Delta Gold card. Now I'm saying these stipulations off the cuff, so I might be a little bit off on the numbers, but the Delta Gold card, if you spend $10,000 in 1 year on that card, you get a $100 like annual flight credit. So I had gotten my annual flight credit that was expiring. So I was like, okay, so this is expiring. I don't really have any other trips that are going to be coming up, I don't think, before that August expiration date. So let me use it towards this flight, meaning I was going to pay cash for that flight, about $100 from here to Fort Lauderdale. So I was like, okay, I feel good about that flight decision. And then when I was looking at credit card points for hotels, I was like, okay, I have a bunch on my Amex Platinum right now because I haven't used a lot of my sign-on bonus from that Amex Platinum, which I think was it 100,000, 90,000 points, which is about like $900 worth of travel or of monetary value for the points. So I was looking at the Margaritaville Resort and what those points would equal in how many nights I could stay at the Margaritaville Resort. And it wouldn't really cover the whole trip. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And also, I was also thinking, like, when you book direct with Margaritaville, they give you lots of perks. They have like a perks program where like you could get a free paddleboarding session and free welcome drinks, a free keychain, like stuff like that. You also get treated really well. Like when you book direct, like they gave me a welcome back pin. And because I booked direct, they like gave me another voucher for free drinks. Like they just have a lot of perks for booking direct, not through a travel portal, and not through points or like through a like third-party booking site. And because I go to Margaritaville resorts all the time, it tends to benefit me to book direct. So I also know this in my mind. And yes, I could have used all of my points to have this entire trip for free. But what I decided to do was, okay, I'm just going to book Margaritaville direct if that's what I decide to do, meaning I'm paying cash for this resort. So I was like, okay, let me think again, based on my spending goals, based on the fact that I'm paying cash for Margaritaville, based on the fact that like I'm using some of my travel rewards for the flight. I was like, what if I spend 2 nights at Margaritaville and pay cash for that? And then the first night that I get there, because I'm getting in a little later, like I'm probably not going to be able to enjoy the resort. Let me stay at this other hotel that's literally like 900 feet away, that I've stayed at before. It's a totally fine resort. And it's half the price. And I'm going to use my travel points for that resort and get that one completely free. So that's what I decided to do. So I had my first night completely free at a place called the Costa Hollywood, paid for that with points, had a $100 flight because I had a $100 travel reward credit through Delta. And then I paid cash a little over $1,000 for 2 nights at the Margaritaville Resort. And, oh, this is the other thing. When they have promotions going on, that you can only get the promotions if you book direct. And this specific promotion that they had going on was a $50 daily resort credit and 2 free welcome drinks. They were giving out welcome drink vouchers like it was candy for right now during this season. So because I was able to get that promotion, that meant that a lot of my food during the trip was going to be covered because I'm just one human being, right? Like my partner wasn't coming with me. So that $50 resort credit is going to pay for my lunch and dinner both days that I'm there. So I was like, okay, that's a benefit too. So it ended up being a little over $1,000 cash for my 2 nights at Margaritaville. So this entire trip with food and drink and like other things, probably about $1,500. And so I wanted to walk through this whole process of like my thinking, because I want you to see the decision-making process behind how I use points, what I pay in cash for, me not wanting to do this trip a budget way, but also keeping my spending goals in mind, where I wasn't just like, fuck it, I'm going to do this trip. I'm going to spend the whole time in Margaritaville. Fuck it, I don't even care. Da, da, da. No, it was like intentionally thought out and crafted. Not that this took a lot of time either, but I want you to hear the decision-making process, because again, when I talk about financial CEO, this is what you're doing in your brain. You are taking in all different kinds of factors, right? Like financials and numbers, your spending goals, but also your desires, your feelings, the different little perks. Like for someone, booking direct Margaritaville might not make a huge difference for them, but for me, it lights me up to get all those perks and like feels like my home resort, right? Like that makes me so happy to pay cash for that because I get all those extra benefits. For some people, they might be like, I literally don't care. I just want it all for free. And that's fine too. But do you see how it's like two different people's decision-making processes? Neither one is right or wrong. It's just, does it feel good to you? And have you taken the time to think about your decision-making process in all of it? Have you taken in all of your personal factors when you are making a purchase or utilizing your money or doing something with your money? Okay. So when I went on this trip too, another big thing that, I had kind of two big intentions for this trip. One was just to enjoy the beach and celebrate and like it be a vibe, right? Have some margaritas and like splash in the sand. Splash in the water and put my feet in the sand. And the other one was to go on a total off the grid, like social media, email, work detox, and kind of a stimulation detox, because my brain was starting to feel really full, right? Really stacked and like lots of thoughts and lots of things. And I felt like I was constantly distracted and stimulated, and my brain didn't have time to like think all its thoughts out through the day. And then I was having a little bit of a hard time sleeping, right? And I was like, okay, I think I just need like a reset, a reboot, like to power down, let me process through all the things, and then I'll reboot back up on Monday when I'm back in New York. And so I landed in Hollywood and I deleted all my social media and my email apps. I also didn't bring any books with me. I did bring 2 plays that I wanted to read, but I was like, we're not just going to like sit on the beach and read the whole time, because that is still stimulation. I was like, I want to sit with my thoughts and also in silence and be bored and like do some people watching and witness the world and just be so fucking present for 4 entire days. And the thought of that kind of scared me a little bit, because when we think about not being distracted and not having input into our brains and just sitting with thoughts and like sitting with ourselves, I mean, probably you could do it for a few hours for a day. You could get your brain around that. But when my brain was like 4 whole days, am I going to be able to do that? Kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I was like, ooh, but that means it's that much more important for me to make that an intention for this trip. And also, we know that being present is how you get the most joy out of life. So I was like, no matter what, it's going to be a really exciting, fun trip, because if I'm forcing myself to be present, like on the beach, with the sunset, with the pool, with the margarita, whatever, it's going to be a great time. So those were my 2 intentions for the trip. And I was also, I was coaching one of my one-on-one clients on this recently, this idea of like, divorcing yourself from your email. And I think artists, in particular, creatives and business owners, were just like, so like, what if the next thing comes through, the sales call comes through, or the audition comes through, or whatever. And what if I miss it? What if I miss it? I gotta be right there all the time, this immediacy. And that's not good for our nervous systems. And we know that. And so a huge part of what we do in money coaching is we get clear on all the life stuff too, because what's the fucking point of stacking your bank accounts if you're constantly in a state of fight or flight and anxious all the time and not living a life you're actually excited about? So I was coaching one of my one-on-one clients on this. We were talking about like creating her dream schedule and how she was talking about how she feels so tied to her email, and she did not have a single 24-hour period off ever. Right? Like even when she was off on her weekends, she was also like doing stuff with her family and community, and she was running errands and things like that. She didn't just have a full 24 hours off to be bored. Right? And she felt attached to her phone. So we were like coaching on phone boundaries, right? And like the thoughts that were causing her to be in that like immediacy, urgency, energy. And that's what I was having to coach myself on too. I was like, yeah, I think I've become like a little, my partner and I have both been really watching our relationships with our phone and social media. I think all of us are, right, at this point in our lives. Like, we know it's not great for us. And like, it's whether or not we're actually putting the intention to like healing that or helping that. And it's so interesting, your hand, like the muscle memory of your hand reaching for the phone, or like all of a sudden, like you went to check the weather and then all of a sudden you're in Instagram and you're like, I don't even remember clicking into Instagram. And so my partner and I have been really intentional about this recently, since the beginning of the year, of like having phone-free weekends together and hiding our phones and like having lots of intentional phone-free time. And for me, that's been great. And during the day, because I'm on Instagram all the time, because, right, like so much of what my business is, and also like this business in general, like keeping up to date with the things that are going on and like the writer's strike and stuff like that. It's like, I feel like I was constantly needing to be plugged in. And so even while I'm working, because it's my business, I'm scrolling and I'm mindless and it's stimulation. And like, so my entire workday was like stimulation, stimulation, stimulation. So I was like, okay, Brooke, take your own coaching on this. We need to have a reboot, right? We're deleting everything. We're going to be bored and we're going to just enjoy the fucking sand. And that's it. So I didn't listen to podcasts. I didn't do any of that. And it was so like, it felt like my brain was just like pouring out all the thoughts, but nothing else was going back in. So it just felt like a shedding of like the thoughts were, and I had a note in my notes app where if anything, like if I had a brilliant idea about a podcast or like a piece of content I wanted to make, or even just like a to-do where I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to like submit that thing, or I forgot to text that person back or whatever. I made a list in my notes app so that my brain wasn't like filling itself back up with like to-dos and capacity and things and ideas. I got them all out of my brain, but I didn't have to take action on them yet. I was like, we can take action on Monday. We can take action on Monday. So it was like thought downloads, just like everything pouring out of my brain while I just sat and took in people, right? Like chatting with people, but then also just like watching the water and like being bored and just sitting and not having anywhere to be. So now let's talk about solo vacationing and gut intuition and gut instincts. Another reason that so this is not the first solo vacation I've taken. I take lots of trips by myself. I love going out to dinner by myself. I love doing things by myself. I also love doing things with my partner, right? We have a fucking blast together. We are in love. We enjoy going on trips together. We enjoy all of that together. And also I enjoy it just as much doing stuff on my own. And what's really important for me to continue to do things on my own is that it helps me calibrate my own gut instinct and intuition. Also, it's just important for us to really enjoy being by ourselves. And if we have a fear of being by ourselves, like, why is that? And sometimes it's like a fear of just like being alone with your thoughts. Sometimes it's like, what would I do? I don't know how to have a good time without someone else like bringing the good time to me. Like that's something that's good that's like a muscle to build of like enjoying hanging out with yourself. And so I love to keep that muscle in check, especially since I've been with my partner. We've been together almost 5 years now, and we are obsessed with each other and we love hanging out with each other. But we have to take intentional time to like go hang out by ourselves to make sure we don't lose that muscle, to make sure that we remember that we also love hanging out with our own selves, our own bodies, our own brains. And, also, like being a single human in this world gets to be so fun and so lovely and so incredible. And I think it's it's an important thing to continue to like learn how to do when you're single. And it's easier to do when you're single, but then also continue that muscle if and when you are in a romantic relationship too, or a partnership of any kind. So this is not my first solo vacation, right? But I love solo vacations for the energy of allowing yourself to do whatever you want, whenever you want. And the only thing that is dictating what you do and when is your own decisions, your own gut, your own brain. You've got no other feedback or input or human being who's saying like, oh, I think I want Thai food tonight. Right? Or like, oh yeah, we should have lunch at 1:00, or like we should meet up with these people at this time. The only thing that is deciding when and where and what you do is your own gut. You have no other decision-making ability besides that. And so when you're by yourself, it can be uncomfortable if you haven't calibrated this muscle in a while or whatever. Like the first day and a half for me, I was like, yeah, I think I'm hungry right now. What do I want to eat? Oh my God, what do I want to eat? And I was like, right, like this is where my decision paralysis comes in. And I was like, the cure to decision paralysis is figuring out how to listen to my gut, even on the little things. And these little things, right, being able to hear how your gut talks to you, and also just, and if gut instincts and gut intuition, if that phrasing doesn't resonate with you, it's just like your own brain. Like, what does your brain want? What do you want? If no one else had any thoughts about anything, what would you do? When would you do it? How would you do it? Right? Like we all have that internal voice, that internal intuition, whatever you want to call it. We have that. And so being by yourself forces you to get in tune with that. And so after about a day and a half, it was really easy for me to click back into like, oh, yep, I want this. I want this. We're doing this now. We're doing this now. But again, it's a flexing that a solo vacation helps you like, be in workout mode with that muscle. And the reason this is important, like even on the little stuff of what do I want to eat tonight? Right? Or like, do I want to have dinner now? I'm not hungry. It's dinner time, but I'm not hungry. Even that little stuff of like honoring your body and your brain and what it wants to do, that little stuff translates into the big stuff. Do I want to invest in this coaching program? Do I want to move to this city? Do I want to spend a lot of money on this thing? Do I want to pull money out of my savings to pay for this thing? Do I want to put a huge chunk of money into my savings for this specific thing? All of those higher level decisions come from your internal gut instinct, gut intuition, your self-trust. And that doesn't mean you can't have external factors or external people, voices, advisors who are helping you with some of those bigger decisions. But so many of my clients come to me, and so many people who get on a sales call with me too, they say like, I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I need someone to tell me what to do. Like I feel I need the checklist, right? And there is no checklist. Sure, there are some like meta things where like investing is good, having savings is good, right? Like sure, those things are good. But also there are going to be times where you want to make a different decision that goes against the grain. I was telling one of my one-on-one clients this week, because we were talking about giving herself some wiggle room inside of her money flow, because she's playing in tight margins right now. And part of why she's in tight margins is because she's putting $100 a week towards savings in her investing account. And I told her, I was like, what if we stopped one of those? What if we stopped one of those payments for now, for a season, to get you out of these like tighter margins, give you some bigger margins, and then we can up it back again. And she was like, yeah, but that's bad. I'm stopping my savings contribution. And I'm like, yeah, but you're feeling anxious all the time because you're playing in tight margins, but you're doing that to yourself because you're putting so much towards savings every single week when you're playing in tight margins. It can come back. Just let's get you into bigger margins right now. And so as I was sharing this with her, she was like, yeah, but that's not good. Like that's against the rules. And I was like, what if I told you that I don't consistently invest money into my retirement account? And she was like, what? You don't? And I was like, no, there are times where I purposely pause my investments into my retirement account because of very specific reasons, knowing that the things I'm using that money for instead is going to allow me to quadruple my investments the next year. And I have that self-trust and that financial CEO hat. I've calibrated that gut instinct, right? Where I can listen to my body, where I'm like, yeah, this is a very grounded decision. I have very distinct reasons for it, and it feels right in my gut. Like I have that calm voice. And this is what my gut sounds like. It's a very calm, like, do it, get out, don't do it, buy the thing. Like it's a very calm, grounded, steady, like energy, right? Like that's how my gut speaks to me. So I know if I'm hearing voices that are like, da-da-da, you gotta get out, da-da, and do the thing, or you gotta buy the thing, or da-da-da. If I'm feeling that energy kind of like in my chest, that's where I feel my anxiety. I know that that's not a gut instinct. That's not intuition. That's my anxiety, and that's my fear. I can very clearly hear when my gut is telling me something. And my gut spoke to me when I was booking this trip. It was like, go, book it, do it. Right? So this is why, again, like the solo vacation helps calibrate that muscle. And when you have external sources like a coach or a financial advisor or like your dad, right? We know our dads are not like the financial kings of the world, but sometimes they have intelligence about very specific subjects, sure. And so when you're asking advice or you have like other people giving you thoughts about your money and things, you can receive those thoughts and those opinions while knowing what your gut is feeling, right? So you're not letting other people completely dictate your entire financial life. You know what you want and you know what your gut is calling you towards and what decisions you want to be making. And these external sources just get to be evidence or like backing for those decisions, or confront you with a differing opinion that gets you more solid in why you want to make your decision. Right? So deciding when you want to eat, where you want to eat, do I want to sit in the pool? Do I want to sit on the beach? Those little things help you calibrate this muscle. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about here is money thoughts from strangers. When you start to focus on your financial wellness, and all of my clients have said this to me, they were like, oh, I've been hearing my friends talk about money in a way I never had before. Or like, oh my gosh, I'm hearing everyone's money thoughts all the time. Because when you start to clock your own money thoughts, when you have a relationship with your own money, you start to hear it everywhere. Right? Everyone's making comments about money. Everyone has thoughts and opinions about money. Everyone's got money baggage, right? Like this is why so many people have hard quotes, money problems, because everyone's got thoughts and issues about money. And everyone thinks that the answer to money issues is strategy and numbers. And that is only half of the equation. It's only half of the equation, right? Emotions and feelings and mindset, the other half of the equation that so many people forget. If it was just numbers and you could Google the spreadsheet and Google the plan, and that was all you needed to be financially successful, nobody would be in debt. Everyone would have millions of dollars and everyone would feel fantastic about money. But that's not the reality, right? This whole other second half of the equation, feelings, emotions, mindset. And so being on this solo vacation, being in the pool, being by the beach, chatting with people too, just all of the thoughts of like, oh yeah, these drinks are so expensive. I don't know why we're buying these here. Or like, yeah, this resort, it's so much money. Like, I bet you all these people are like making bank or whatever. People at the dive bar a couple of doors down, having thoughts about the people who are staying at the Margaritaville or staying at whatever other resort was there, or like talking about the money that the tourists spend versus what the locals spend. Just so many things that were happening. And it was just a reminder to me of like, right, this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm here coaching you, not just on strategy, but also on your thoughts. Because I'm going to talk about one specific couple I was sitting next to at the pool. They were talkers. Very much talkers. So we talked about everything under the sun. But this one couple, they were talking about the guests at the resort like they weren't one of them. Like, all of these people have all this money to come and stay at resorts like this. And like, this is just like a one-time thing for us, right? Or like, this is rare for us. Or like, yeah, but like, we're not one of those people. And it's just so interesting. It's like, we're all in the same resort, but in their brain, they were not in the identity of someone who was like allowed or welcome in a resort like that. And they said to me, they were like, you must be making lots of money to be staying in a resort like this. Are you one of those money coaches who's like really good at telling other people how to manage their money, but you're real shit at managing your money? I was like, what a weird thing to say to someone, but no, that's not my case. And he was like, well, yeah, obviously, because you're staying here. Us, but we don't have our money shit together at all. And I'm like, how interesting is that? Right? Like, we're all here together, but like, your identity, right, is that you don't belong here, that these people making all these assumptions about the people who have these things and do these things and what their money situation looks like. Also a note on that. It is crazy to me that like this guy was like, yeah, are you one of those money people who teaches other people about money, but doesn't have your own money shit together? And it's so sad that is common, right? With like financial advisors and tax people and all of this stuff, because they can be really good at the numbers and the strategy and doing the math and telling people what to do. But the second half of the equation, the feelings about it, the emotions about it, right? If you don't work on that, if you don't have that on lock, your entire strategy doesn't mean shit. The amount of clients that I have who have husbands in finance or partners in finance who are just as, if not more, stressed about money than the people who I'm working with, it's right. Like, you can know all the things, you can know all the numbers, have a whole ass degree in money, and still be stressed as fuck about money. Be making a multiple six-figure salary in finance and still be stressed as fuck about money. Right? Because it's not about the knowledge and the numbers. That is only part of the equation. And also, it is a part of the equation, which is why I teach strategy, right? We're not just going to be one of these people of like, let's just, meditate in abundance. And that's all you have to do all day long, every day. And you can just then spend what you want, however you want. And like nothing else matters. No, like, let's create the systems that back up your thoughts of abundance. Let's create the financial infrastructure and decision-making process, the system, for you to be able to have the evidence of, yes, I'm a financial CEO. I'm not going to tell you to just believe you're a CEO right away and like, that's it. No, we're going to call yourself a financial CEO, and then we're going to start making moves to back that decision up, to back that thought up, right? So we want to create like strategy evidence, bank account evidence, number evidence for all of these new thoughts that you're thinking. And normally the thoughts come first. It's like, I want to feel at ease with my money. Amazing. What does someone who feels at ease with their money do? They look at the numbers a couple of times a month. They have one big financial CEO party. They indulge. They're also conscious about their spending. They don't black out. They have a system for how they pay themselves. They have a system for how they manage money, whether they're on contract or off contract, right? All of these things are true for someone who feels at ease with money. So if that's the thought we want, what are the strategic, tactical things that we want to put in place for you to back up that thought and actually feel that ease and make ease your main dominant emotion and feeling about money? The next thing I want to talk about is how great it feels to have room for your gut urges. So the fact that my gut said, Brooke, take yourself to the beach, and my sweet friend Harriet was like, Brooke, take yourself to the beach, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take myself to the beach, right? Even if I didn't use points, even if, whatever, and I stayed at Margaritaville the whole time, whatever, that I would have been able to say yes. I never feel the energy of having to tell myself no because of money. I never tell myself no because of money, ever. I never say it's because I can't afford it. That is never a thought that goes through my brain. If I want it, I can have it. And that was a thought that I had when I was making $16,000 a year. And that didn't mean I just went out and got the thing. I was like, if I want it, I can have it. What do I need to make that a reality? Right? And so having that energy and like developing that when I was making $16,000 a year, now when I'm making $16,000 a month, right? And I have so much financial flexibility in the cash in the bank to be able to be like, yeah, I can throw $1,500 on a vacation impulsively, right? And again, a good impulsively. I didn't have to plan for it or like save it up or stack my savings in order to be able to do that and like wait 3 months before I could say yes to a gut urge. I have that availability to me now. This was one of my dreams when I was initially starting my financial wellness journey. From when I was like, before I was in college, when I would think about like wanting financial freedom as an artist, as a creative, this was the kind of stuff I was imagining. I wasn't imagining a fully funded retirement account. I wasn't imagining $20,000 in my emergency fund. I wasn't imagining like those like money checklist to-dos. I was imagining being able to book myself a last minute tropical vacation. I was imagining being able to live in an apartment in a city that I loved and not be stressed about rent. I was imagining sleeping in a great fucking mattress in a beautifully decorated bedroom. I was imagining being able to turn down a contract that didn't align with my values and not be stressed about money. I imagine being able to go into audition rooms and just have a fucking blast and take like crazy risks because I wasn't stressed about that job paying my rent. I was imagining not having to check my bank statement as I was in line in the grocery store. I was imagining being able to, I was talking to one of my other one-on-one clients this past week about this, buy coffee when I was bored, right? Like we love to go to coffee shops when we're bored or like when we like want a little hit of something, whatever. And one of my clients, he was talking to me about how he's like, yeah, I just like feel like I can't stop this habit. And like, I want to curb it. And like, I feel like it's a waste of money. And I was like, what if you could afford boredom coffee? What if you built that into your money plan? Because boredom coffee actually brought you a lot of joy. If that's the case, let's build it in. And like, that's one of the things I'm like, I just want to get a coffee whenever I feel like it. How fun is that energy? Like, these are the things I was imagining. So when you think about money goals, when you think about the things you want out of like getting your money shit together, I want you to be thinking about those things, not the, I need to max out my retirement account and I need to have X amount in my emergency fund and I want to be making this much money and I need to be making multiple six figures. Like, you know, with my business owners, we've got like specific income goals in mind of like what means when you made it and like, I need these numbers and da da da. No, like think about the shit that you actually want the money for. Right? Because that's what's going to make you want to keep doing this shit. That's what's going to make you want to keep having money dates. That's what's going to make you want to keep looking at your numbers. That's what's going to want to make you not fuck it blackout. Now, yes, with the strategy that I teach you, it's simple and it's fun. And that in and of itself makes you want to do it. But like, there has to be a strong enough purpose and pull for you to be like doing something new and to be like training your brain to like think about money in a different way. It needs to have a reason. And maxing out your retirement account every year is not a strong enough reason. A stronger reason is imagining your retired life in one of those like luxury retirement communities, cruising around on your golf cart with your like two boyfriends in the back seat and we've all got margaritas and like we're heading to the pool, right? Like, can you imagine that? Right? Let's not think about maxing out the retirement account. Let's think about what maxing out the retirement account is going to get you. So doing something like this for me this is like a dream come true. One of my dreams come true financially that I was like, fuck, I'm so proud of myself that I like put in the work and had the thoughts of like, this is what I'm doing it all for, so that I actually got my bank accounts to the place where I was able to say yes to this as an artist, as a creative freelancer, as someone who has never had a 9-to-5 structured job, right? I was able to do that for myself. And it's because I had strong enough whys. And like, this is one of them. So it was like a really cool, like dream come true moment of like, fuck yeah, I'm so proud of you, Brooke, that like you were able to do this and this is your new reality. And this leads me into my next thing right? Like all of you out there who are wanting to like make more money and improve your financial standing. Why? And in coaching with my clients, we get so clear on what the actual whys are and the monetary values that are attached to those whys. So then we have an actual equation to solve for when it comes to where you are and where you want to be. And we talk about lifestyle upgrades because something that's important to do as you are improving your financial wellness and also making more money is that you get to decide what making more money means for you, right? Like how much wiggle room do you want? And then also what are the new things that you want to implement into your life to upgrade your lifestyle as you are improving your money situation? So one of the things for me that clicked in on this trip was like, yeah, this is going to be a multiple time a year trip. Not necessarily to Hollywood, Florida, but my ass needs to be at the beach more than one time a year. And I have a lot of friends and business owners and people that you see where it's like the designer bags and the first class flights and the designer clothes or the like buying a house and stuff like that. And it's really easy to get caught up in like, what does wealth mean? And like, but I don't really want that, da, da, da. And it's like, you get to decide what your lifestyle upgrades are. You get to decide what your version of wealth looks like. And for me, that's going to mean quarterly or 3 times a year trips to some sort of beach. right? Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about designer bags. I do not give a fuck. And I think that's like very much a standard in the like online business owner community, or like people who are making more money. It's like, bought a celebration bag. And that's wonderful if you're actually so excited about that. But just know it doesn't always just have to be that. It can be vacations. It can be weekly massages. It could be eating out every night if you want to. If you have like 3 favorite restaurants that are right near your, like, that could be an upgrade. Whatever it is, there's a million different things that you could choose. But for me, that's one of the things that clicked in of like, oh, this is not just something I want to do as a celebration. This is something I want to integrate into my quarters throughout the year. And so I want you to be thinking about this too. When you think about, especially if you're one of those people who's like, I just need to make more money. I want to make more money. Great. Why? And I'm going to do a whole other podcast episode on this, but there's a kind of like what do I want to say? Like a spectrum or a timeline where the first step is to get you to baseline. And that means that what's coming in is the same as what's going out. Right? And I don't want to say paycheck to paycheck, because that holds a very intense weight, right? For a lot of people, like, I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. But that's the first step, is getting to your baseline where you are not letting out more than is coming in, right? So you're just in the break-even point. That's baseline. And then the next level is having a little bit of wiggle room for a little bit of savings, maybe a little bit of investments, a little bit more fun money. We got like wiggle room, right? And then as you continue to up level, then it's like the level up where you've got so much wiggle room that like maybe we increase now your baseline, right? Those are those lifestyle upgrades. Like for me, it's quarterly vacations. For you, it could be weekly massages, getting meal delivery, whatever it is. And then that increases your baseline. Moving to a more expensive city and a more expensive apartment. At me, over the past 2 years, I've done that twice, right? Increasing your baseline. And then you play with increasing your wiggle room, and then you can level up again, right? Like, so I want you to think about what stage are you at right now? And where do you want to be and why, right? What kind of lifestyle upgrades do you want? What do you want in your savings account and why? What do you want to be spending on and why? Have some journaling moments about all of this. I hope me going through like my thought process and decision-making and what I experienced on this solo vacation, I hope it like sparked some things in you on what you want and what you could possibly desire and what's possible for you. So take some time this week after you listen to this episode and like have some journaling. Have a good like walk and think about some of the things that came up for you as you were listening to this. Also, if you have not spent some solo time with yourself recently, that is your homework. Whether you take a solo vacation or whether you take yourself out to coffee by yourself and you do not take your phone or your email or your laptop or a book and you just hang with yourself and your thoughts, that is your homework. I'm sending you lots of love, and I will see you next week on the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me on Instagram for more on how to build a simple, sexy relationship with your money. My Instagram handle is @NotStarvingArtists. And if you want to dive deeper with me, head to the show notes to learn more about one-on-one coaching. If you love this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend that you want to get rich with.